Imagine this scenario for a second, right? You've just created a masterpiece.
Oh, yeah. The dream.
Right. You've poured your blood, sweat, and let's be honest, probably maxed out a ton of credit cards into this project.
Yeah.
And you premiere it, and the critics are just absolutely raving.
Yeah, you get that coveted, like, 100% positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Exactly. You take it to South by Southwest, and you are undeniably the toast of the festival. I mean, audiences love it. Reviewers are calling you a visionary. And yet, after all of that, crickets.
Nothing.
Not a single Hollywood studio steps up to buy your movie. You have all the critical validation in the world, but you're still completely shut out of the actual industry.
It is a terrifying reality for modern filmmakers. But
Right.
it's actually a very common bottleneck now, because the old romanticized journey of the indie darling, where a scrappy genius shows up at a festival and just immediately signs a multi-million-dollar deal on a cocktail napkin.
Right, right.
That is essentially dead.
And that is exactly our mission for this deep dive, because the traditional pipeline has just fundamentally broken down and a brand new one has taken its place.
It really has.
Yeah, so we are exploring the rapidly shifting mechanics of specialty cinema. We're looking at how the entire system has moved away from, like, a handful of elite tastemakers in screening rooms and is now being entirely driven by digital platforms, direct-to-consumer data, and these hyper-aggressive studio strategies that are completely rewriting how movies get to your local theater.
It's a massive structural shift. I mean, the studios are no longer guessing what you want to see based on a critic's review. They are actively watching your digital footprint to guarantee their investment, like,
Right.
before the camera even rolls.
Yeah, it's wild. So to figure out how this highly sophisticated data-driven machine actually works, we've pulled together a massive stack of sources for you.
Oh, it's a huge stack.
It is. We're looking at comprehensive industry analyses, reviews from the Chicago Critics Film Festival, some raw data from the social platform Letterboxd, and deeply detailed production tracking regarding this rising filmmaker named Alex Olam and the powerhouse independent distributor Neonen. Okay, let's unpack this.
Sounds good. So to really understand the mechanics of these multi-million-dollar deals we're seeing today, we cannot start in a corporate boardroom.
Right.
We really have to start at the ground floor with the creator, because despite all the algorithms and the data scraping, the raw material of this industry is still, human desperation and creativity.
Yeah, and Alex Olam's origin story is practically built on desperation. Let's look at his background. He was a computer science student from Tampa, Florida. He's 18 years old, ostensibly on this really stable career path, when he suffers a severe mental health crisis.
Right, which is just awful.
It is. It completely derails him and forces a total reevaluation of what he's actually doing with his life. He realizes, essentially out of pure survival, that he needs to study film. But he has to convince his highly skeptical parents to let him abandon computer science for art.
Which is where we see his very first act of producing, really. Because how does an 18-year-old convince his parents to bankroll an art degree?
Oh, this is my favorite part. He builds a literal PowerPoint presentation.
It's so good.
Right. He sits them down in the living room and gives a corporate pitch deck on why they should let him go to Florida State University to study cinema.
I love that detail so much because it just strips away that whole myth of the tortured artist just waiting for a muse.
Yeah.
It shows this highly pragmatic, almost clinical approach to a creative dream right from the start. I mean, he is utilizing corporate communication tools to secure the capital for his artistic future.
Well, it works, right? He gets into FSU, and that fiscal improvisation just goes into overdrive when he decides to bypass the traditional short film route.
He just skips it entirely. Skips it completely. Jumps straight into making his debut feature film, which is called It Ends. And he has no studio backing, no grants, nothing. So he gets his initial seed money in the most incredibly modern way possible.
Oh, yeah.
He posts a comedy sketch on YouTube, it goes slightly viral, and a random commenter just types, "I would pay for more of this." And Alex comments back, "Oh, for real," and somehow leverages that interaction into actual seed funding from a total stranger on the internet.
And, the financing mechanisms only get stranger from there, because he secured the rest of his budget from an independent investor that he met while playing virtual reality poker.
Wait, VR poker? You literally cannot make that up.
It sounds absurd, I know, but if you look at the psychology of it, there is a very real documented overlap between independent film investors and high-stakes gamblers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the mechanics are identical. You are putting money into a highly volatile, high-risk asset with a massive failure rate, just hoping for an exponential outsized return. Ullum recognized that exact mindset in a VR poker lobby and pitched his movie. That is brilliant.
Yeah.
So he pulls this money together, casts his 4 lead actors directly off Instagram by literally just sliding into their DMs.
Incredible.
And he manages to shoot the entire film in a blistering 20 days. They did it mostly by calling in favors and shooting on the sly in a local national park in Gainesville, Florida.
Hustle is seriously impressive.
It really is. But it's the movie itself, It Ends, that really warrants our attention here. So Ullum describes it as hangout horror.
Hangout horror, yeah.
Yeah. Here's the premise. 4 recent Gen Z college grads, James, Day, Fisher, and Tyler, they're in a Jeep Cherokee, they're on a late-night drive, but they accidentally turn onto this never-ending looping 2-lane road in the middle of a forest.
Right.
And when they stop the car, they are immediately swarmed by a screaming zombie-like horde emerging from the trees.
And the mechanism of the horror is established incredibly efficiently here, because the characters quickly deduce the rules of this universe. They have exactly 90 seconds after the car stops moving before this horde physically reaches them.
Whoa.
Yeah, so the solution is brutally simple. They just have to keep driving.
Right, which sets up this incredibly tense survival thriller.
Mm-hmm.
But then the film does this brilliant, agonizing pivot because it doesn't stay a monster movie. As they keep driving day after day, they realize their biology has stopped.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They don't get tired. They don't get thirsty. They don't get hungry. The immediate visceral horror of the zombies slowly fades into the background, and it is replaced by the sheer grinding horror of endless routine and boredom.
Which is so much worse, in a way.
It is. They start having these intensely pointless arguments about mundane things they like or hate. Day and Fisher eventually institute daily screaming sessions, like just rolling down the windows and screaming into the void just to vent their psychological frustration.
That pivot is where the film finds its true voice, I think, transitioning from a literal thriller into a prolonged metaphorical exploration of feeling entirely trapped. And we see how different psychologies handle that trap. Tyler, the one character who didn't go to college, gives up relatively early. At about 56,000 miles on the odometer, he essentially opts out.
Right.
And Day and Fisher eventually reach a point of numb acceptance. They stop driving and just let the horde take them. But James, who's played by Phineas Yoon, he simply refuses to quit. He continues to drive the Jeep completely alone past 1,000,000 miles.
1,000,000 miles. And the imagery of that solo drive is what the Chicago Critics Film Festival reviews just kept pointing to. It's haunting. Like, he experiences rain for the first time on this endless road.
Oh, yeah.
And when he finally reaches the end of the loop, it's just a dead-end circle of asphalt with a municipal sign that says road ends.
Right.
He stops the car. He's sitting there alone, and he opens this stale Cliff Bar they had in the glove box the entire time. He takes a bite, and he just weeps over the taste of it. It's a staggering ending.
It really is.
But honestly, looking at all these reviews categorizing it as a horror movie, I kind of have to push back on that definition.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Why is that? What would you categorize it as?
Well, to me, the endless road isn't a supernatural curse or, a horror trope. It is a direct analogy for the exact feeling of graduating into the modern real world. Think about it. You get your degree, you get in your car, and you're told you are going somewhere important. But the real monster isn't some zombie horde hiding in the woods.
The monster is the realization that the road doesn't actually go anywhere.
Exactly. It's like being stuck on a cosmic treadmill. You have all this forward momentum, but the sheer crushing weight of isolation starts to set in. There is no set moral framework waiting for you after college. There is no guide.
No, you're just on your own.
Right. You just have to drive and drive and drive until you manage to find your own meaning in the mundane, like the taste of a Cliff Bar, or you just give up and let the world eat you on the side of the road.
That is a very astute reading, honestly, and it aligns perfectly with the data we have on audience reception. The film resonated deeply with a demographic that was grappling with that exact pandemic-era isolation and the subsequent loss of future promises.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The existential dread felt documentary-like to them. It earned that 100% positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes and had critics at the South by Southwest Film Festival in March 2025 absolutely raving.
Which brings us right back to our original scenario. You have this brilliant, culturally relevant movie. But after SXSW, nothing happens. It Ends hits the most common indie bottleneck in the modern industry.
It secured zero immediate theatrical distribution.
Exactly. No one bought it. So how did this movie survive the festival graveyard?
This is where the structural shift in the industry's pipeline becomes undeniable. The catalyst that saved It Ends was not a traditional studio executive discovering it at a private screening or taking a chance on a first-time director. The savior was the Letterboxd video store.
Now, for those who might not know, Letterboxd is basically the premier social media app for film nerds. You log movies you've watched, rate them, leave reviews, that sort of thing.
Right. And on December 10th, 2025, Letterboxd placed It Ends on their newly launched video store platform. They specifically featured it on a curated digital show for unreleased gems, which highlighted highly rated festival films that lacked distribution.
And the metrics from that single placement were explosive.
Astounding, really. We have the data right here. Prior to that placement on the app, the film had accumulated a respectable but, modest 2,500 user logs.
Okay.
In a matter of days after hitting that curated shelf, it jumped to over 40,000 user logs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. People were adding it to their watch list, sharing the reviews, and creating a massive digital footprint. The engagement was organic, immediate, and heavily concentrated in a highly desirable demographic.
And here's the crucial part.
Yeah.
The studios were actively scraping and watching that data.
Yeah.
Because just 8 days later, on December 18th, the powerhouse distributor, Neon swoops in and purchases the worldwide distribution rights to It Ends. 8 days.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it reveals a fundamental change in royalty management at the studio level. Historically, a specialty distributor would buy a film based on the subjective taste of their acquisitions team, right?
Yeah, of course.
But today, they are using direct-to-consumer digital engagement metrics to de-risk their investments. They aren't just relying on elite festival curation anymore. They are watching where the audience is actively engaging, where they are spending their attention online, and then they strike.
It's complete paradigm shift. I mean, think about your own social media habits. When you click add to watch list on an app, you probably think you're just organizing your weekend viewing.
Right.
But in reality, millions of those casual clicks are serving as a massive, free, global focus group for Hollywood. It reminds me entirely of the modern music industry.
Oh, how so?
Well, a major record label today rarely sends an A&R rep to scout some unknown band in a smoky dive bar hoping they have a hit. They wait until a 15-second snippet of a song completely blows up organically on TikTok, and then they swoop in and sign the artist.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, the audience has already voted with their attention. When Neon bought It Ends, they weren't guessing if there was a market for existential Gen Z horror. They possessed hard data proving the market was already waiting for it.
And that data validation didn't just say It Ends. It completely altered the trajectory of Alex Ullum's career overnight, leading to a business move that brings us to the next phase of this new pipeline.
Yes, this brings us to what industry analysts as our sources are calling the Park City paradox. Cut to the Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah in early 2026. Neon makes headlines by securing the very first major global deal on the ground at the festival.
Right.
But wait, here's where it gets really interesting. And honestly, I need you to explain the mechanics of this to me because it sounds impossible. The movie they bought wasn't even playing at Sundance.
It wasn't playing anywhere.
Right. The sources say it hadn't even started filming yet. They bought a movie called 4x4, The Event. How does a distributor buy the worldwide rights to a movie at a film festival when the movie literally does not exist? What are they actually handing over millions of dollars for?
What they are buying is the package. It is a remarkable preemptive acquisition. In the film market, you can buy a finished film, or you can buy the exclusive rights to distribute a script that has specific contracted elements attached to it, like a director and lead actors.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so Ullman took the momentum from It Ends and scaled up his ambitions significantly. 4x4. The Event is a high-concept survival horror film. The premise is that 8 contestants enter an illegal sensory assault livestream. They must kill or be killed, but the catch is they can only use weapons or items that they are able to physically order online and have delivered during the broadcast.
That is such a wild concept. It's essentially a fight to the death using only Amazon Prime deliveries.
Pretty much.
I can already see the chaos of someone trying to fend off an attacker while waiting for a drone to drop off a tactical flashlight and some zip ties. But the production scale here is at a massive leap from his first movie, right?
Exponentially so. He went from casting kids via Instagram DMs to securing top-tier agency-represented talent. Jacob Tremblay, who the audience will know from Before I Wake and Doctor Sleep, is in advanced negotiations to star.
Wow, Jacob Tremblay.
Yeah, and the physical production reflects that leap too. He's moving from a scrappy, favor-based 20-day shoot in the Florida woods to a massive, fully unionized on-location shoot in Vancouver, Canada. The production data shows they are scheduled to shoot from July 6th to August 14th, 2026, operating out of Nanaimo Street under professional local production banners.
Okay, I understand what they bought. But why did Neon do this? Why walk into Sundance, where hundreds of finished, polished movies are literally begging for a distributor, and spend your capital on a script and a promise?
It comes down to economic efficiency and avoiding the festival tax. Kate Gondway, Neon's manager of acquisitions, orchestrated this preemptive buyout for a very specific reason, which is the bidding war. Yeah. When a finished film premieres at a festival and gets rave reviews, multiple studios start bidding against each other. The price skyrockets artificially. By securing the worldwide rights before production begins, Neon gets it significantly cheaper.
Okay, so it's essentially an insurance policy against their own potential success.
Exactly. And because of the Letterboxd data from It Ends, Neon already knew that Ullum possessed a proven digital native audience. So the usual risk of a pre-production buy, the fear that no one will care about the final product, was incredibly mitigated.
They bought the blueprints to the house because their data scraped from our phones told them 1 million people already wanted to live in the neighborhood.
That's a great way to put it.
And Ullum's rapid rise from a PowerPoint presentation to a Vancouver soundstage is really just one piece of a much larger, highly sophisticated machine being run by Neon and its partners.
Absolutely. To understand the modern indie pipeline, you have to look at Neon's track record under the leadership of their CEO, Tom Quinn. Over the last 9 years, they have positioned themselves at the absolute pinnacle of specialty cinema by utilizing this exact blend of data and curation. Just look at their success at the Cannes Film Festival.
Oh, it is staggering. The sources highlight that Neon has secured 7 consecutive Palme d'Or winners.
7.
The highest prize at Cannes. Parasite, Titane, Triangle of Sadness, Anatomy of a Fall, Honor, it was just an accident, and Fjord, 7 in a row.
Yeah.
You do not do that by accident or by just throwing money around.
No, you do it through rigorous scouting and understanding international markets. But more importantly, you do it by trusting a singular auteur's vision rather than sanding down a movie by committee.
Right.
But acquiring a great film or a great package like 4x4 is only half the battle. You have to sell it to an audience that is drowning in content.
And Neon's marketing strategy is arguably their strongest weapon. Let's look at how they handled their 2024 horror hit, Longlegs. Traditional studios will spend $30 or $40 million just on television spots to market a horror movie.
Yeah, easy.
But Neon had a marketing budget of under $10 million for Longlegs. They ran 0 traditional TV ads.
None, because they know their target demographic isn't watching traditional broadcast television anyway.
Right. Instead, they relied entirely on guerrilla, digital native marketing stunts. They set up creepy phone numbers you could call. They offered free tickets to anyone born on the 14th of the month. They created this incredibly unsettling viral atmosphere online that people actively wanted to participate in and share.
And it worked.
It did. The film grossed over $74 million domestically.
Becoming Neon's highest-grossing film ever in North America, dethroning Parasite. That kind of return on investment is the engine that allows them to confidently make preemptive buys like 4x4. They know their marketing machine can take a high-concept genre piece, bypass traditional expensive advertising, and turn it into a cultural event.
But producing a movie at the scale of 4x4 requires a lot of heavy lifting. And the sources outline how Neon actually gets these films made once they buy the rights. They use this highly specific structure called a tripartite production model. Can you break down how that actually functions?
Certainly. It's an ecosystem designed to distribute risk while maximizing expertise. It relies on 3 distinct pillars. First, you have the creative development and genre expertise, handled here by Spooky Pictures, which is run by Steven Schneider and Roy Lee.
Okay.
They ensure the script and the scares actually work. Second, you have the international capital. For 4x4, that backing is provided by their partner, Image Nation Abu Dhabi.
Now, wait, why bring in foreign capital for an American-style horror movie?
Because foreign equity partners don't rely solely on the domestic U.S. box office. They can leverage international distribution rights to recoup their investment, which softens the financial risk for Neon.
Ah, got it.
And finally, the third pillar is the physical execution, managed by a boutique production company called Divide Conquer. They are the ones on the ground in Vancouver, making sure the crew is hired, the Vancouver sets are built, and the film comes in on budget.
It's a brilliantly balanced system. You compartmentalize the creative vision, the cash flow, and the physical logistics, so no one entity bears the entire burden.
Exactly.
But looking at Neon's overall slate, they aren't just betting their entire future on internet-native horror like 4x4. They are aggressively diversifying their portfolio.
Precisely. They are deliberately balancing hyper-commercial viral genre films with international prestige cinema. On one hand, yes, they have 4x4, and they are also adapting a viral YouTube horror short called Mora by VFX artist Sam Evenson into a full feature.
Okay.
But on the other hand, they just acquired a film called Clarissa.
The details on Clarissa provide such a stark contrast. It's a Nigerian drama, shot on classic 35mm film, starring Ayo Edebiri and David Oyelowo, and funded entirely by Africa-based institutions like Canex Creations, Inc. It is as far from a viral Amazon Prime death match as you can possibly get.
This raises an important question about the psychology of the modern cinema consumer. Neon's dual-track strategy suggests that today's audiences completely defy the old demographic boxes.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
The distributor realizes that the exact same viewer who logs onto Letterboxd looking for the visceral, data-backed thrill of a viral horror movie also actively craves the high art, beautifully shot prestige of an international drama on 35mm.
Which makes perfect sense when you think about it. We don't just listen to one single genre of music on our phones. Why would we only watch one type of movie? Neon is essentially building a library for the actual multifaceted modern cinephile, rather than catering to some hypothetical one-dimensional focus group in a boardroom.
And crucially, they are using the internet not just to market to that sophisticated cinephile, but to actively find them, to validate the art they want to see through data, and to fund the creators who are actually making it.
It is a completely revolutionized pipeline. And looking at Alex Ullum's journey, from pleading with his parents via a PowerPoint presentation, to shooting in the woods on favors, to commanding a multi-million-dollar global deal in Vancouver, it's clear the old Hollywood rulebook isn't just outdated. It's officially in the shredder.
Which brings me to a final thought for you to mull over as we wrap up. We've talked a lot about the brilliant mechanics of this new system. But if the film industry is now deciding a creator's artistic worth and commercial viability based purely on our digital metrics, our user logs, and our online engagement, wait, are we the audience no longer just viewers?
Oh, wow.
If our every click dictates what gets made, are we actually just willing participants in our own giant algorithm-driven sensory live stream?
That is a heavy, incredibly eerie thought. We are the focus group, whether we want to be or not. But speaking of being trapped in a terrifying scenario, we have a question for you, and we really want to know what you think.
Yes, we do.
Which scenario sounds more terrifying to your life? Being trapped forever in a Jeep on an endless looping road with a zombie horde like in It Ends? Or having to fight for your life in a live stream using only Amazon Prime deliveries like in 4x4? The event. Let us know your survival strategy in the YouTube comments.
I suspect the Amazon Prime deliveries might require a very specific set of skills. I look forward to reading the strategies.
Same here. I'd probably order a lot of cast iron skillets.
Yep.
And please encourage us by making sure to hit that like button, leave a comment with your survival plan, and subscribe so you never miss a video or, another deep dive like this one. Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of the new cinema pipeline. We will see you in the next deep dive.